A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. Hello and welcome back to the Oversharing podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
And here we are. We're back. I hear you have an update on the dog sitter.
Yes. Oh gosh, I haven't.
You didn't give it to me. I just saw the note for the listeners. If you haven't listened last week, Naomi, Dr. Naomi talked about hiring a dog sitter who basically, long story short, if you haven't listened, asked if there were security cameras so that she could use the hot tub in the nude. But there is an update.
Yes. So the long version of the story was that once she asked if there were security cameras, I was like going crazy in my head about why she was asking about these security cameras. And one of the things, the puzzle pieces that I put together was that right before I left, she had asked me if there were any local happy hours. And she said something like, yeah, happy hour is like a better time to meet more like-minded people. And, I like to make new friends. And thinking, okay, that's fine. But was like a little slightly suspicious given that she has a 10-year-old daughter. Like, what is she doing during happy hour? Whatever.
Right.
Not a huge thought, but crossed my mind. So when she's asking about security cameras, one of the things that came up was like, maybe she wants to meet someone at happy hour and like sneak them into my house, like through the back door somehow, which would be really hard to do, but because whatever. But
you have to like jump a fence.
Yes, perhaps. But like, this is what my fear was. So after she leaves, I go into the guest room and I'm cleaning up the space. And on the counter, I find a card that has a picture of her, like
that was her.
A picture of her in like a bathrobe that's like a little bit ajar. I don't know if like that's the word, but like it's slightly opened.
Sure.
And she has a pillow like in front of her body. And it says in like big letters, "The Kink." And then I look closer and it says, "Meet me at the Kink happy hour."
Huh.
I still don't really know exactly what this is or who she is or what she's doing, but something's happening at the happy hour that's apparently kinky.
I didn't realize that was her. I thought that was like a card she found at happy hour.
No, that is her.
It's like literally the size of like a business card, right?
It's a business
card. Yeah.
It's like a card that she would hand out to people.
Yes. And then it says, meet me at the Kink happy hour. And then there's a line where you can like write in and it says at, and then blank like line. So you can write in wherever the happy hour spot is. And then on as in like whatever date, I guess, and time you're going to. So this is maybe another one of her jobs. I don't
This is like a shed your shame moment where I'm like, I can't believe this person was in my house. And like, I don't know, and then on the back, there's a QR code, which of course we scanned
looked at, of course.
And it's just this, she's like a life and love coach, but offers, one of the services that she offers is a masculinity massage.
So a hand job, right? That's part of the coaching?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, Jeff is like, his belief is she's a sex worker. Maybe a massage is just a massage.
Right. A masculine massage. What is a feminine massage?
Well, it explains the whole, I wish I maybe we could pull up and read the definition of the masculinity massage, but it's something like you work hard to be a strong man and you deserve to have a moment of being cared for. It's like a whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would say that the signs are leading in Jeff's direction. This is a.
I mean, I kind of agree. I think I don't want, like, I want to believe in this barter service. I want to believe that I can get a free dog sitter.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, did you look at the cameras? Did she bring anyone into your house?
She did ask me if her aunt could come by, female, and bring her food. So I said yes. And I looked at the camera and a woman came by with like a box that probably, I'm assuming, had food in it. Okay. She didn't bring I'm pretty sure she didn't bring anybody into the house. But that doesn't mean that like
she didn't go out and
try
do something. Right. Yeah. Well, I guess devil's advocate. And again, I could understand how this would be very uncomfortable. Let's say she is a sex worker and she does use happy hour to give masculine massages.
If she's doing it and it's not in my house, I don't really care.
So she went out and she did that and then she came back. Like, I mean, but you're saying like it seems like it wasn't in your house, right?
Yeah, but I think the
idea is like it
probably,
could be. Right, yeah.
I mean, I wasn't here and like just the idea of like, if she didn't text me and ask me about the cameras, like I wouldn't have even been really
known any of that,
watching or thinking or suspicious at all, because I'm really typically, as you know, from our experience walking around the city together, like I'm a trusting person. Like you're here with your daughter, you want to explore the country together.
Yes. You're assuming the best in everyone.
Yeah, I am assuming the best. Yes. And so it's the more experiences like this that I have, the more suspicious and jaded I will become.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's good that it took you, what are you,
I'm 46.
You're now 46, right? So you're 46. So I think you've had enough of life in a blissful naivete. Right?
I'll join the masses in my jaded, suspicious state.
I mean, listen, I wouldn't hire her again. It sounds like she didn't take you didn't see anything else that like was damaging to you personally.
No. And it's fine if that's what she wants to do in her own time. I actually don't care like what she does. It's the idea that she would have brought it back into my house. And I'm also kind of like, if this is your side hustle, but you don't have a home and you just kind of travel around,
right,
leads me to believe that you must be, I don't know where the masculine massages are happening. If they're not happening in people's homes,
they're probably happening in people's cars.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, the part about this that icks me out the most is that she has this daughter and like she's raising this daughter. She's clearly like going to this happy hour around you, doing that. And like, I don't know, it feels uncomfortable. I feel bad for the daughter. But.
Yeah. Before, like, I was so torn on kind of how I felt about it. Before, it was sort of like the daughter was a big part. I could tell that the daughter was doing like the lion's share of the dog sitting.
Right.
Like when we left, she was like, make sure that you show her like how to do all the things so that we both know. And I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of nice that like
she's helping you out.
She's helping and she's learning how to contribute to a household and like, coming from where I am, where I'm like, my kids are so privileged and like I have all the mom guilt of like, wanting the working mom guilt of like wanting to do things and care for them, but also that I'm like, oh yes, child independence. It's amazing. Let them kind of learn how to handle their business in a house and clean up after themselves and be helpful. And so that was my initial reaction. But now I'm seeing what feels like a different end of the spectrum, which is like,
did she seem well adjusted?
She seemed like a sweet little girl. She was, she was loving to the dog. She wanted to play with my kids. She was, just wanted she seemed like she wanted, was very excited when my kids were there to play with them. Like she was really happy. And
yeah, I hope she's doing okay.
Yeah. I mean, there was no, it wasn't anything abusive. I think probably years ago, you leave a child in a nice, safe neighborhood in a locked up home. It's nothing.
Yeah. I guess the part that seems like it's just that she's like always traveling. Does she have much consistency? She's like going everywhere, kind of like she's earning her keep by like taking care of these dogs. I don't know.
Yeah. She said our next sit is going to be their next dog sitting job is going to be whatever it is, period of months, 4 or 5 months. And she's like, hopefully she'll make some friends because we'll be there for longer. And so I do think that the ideal is not what we had, which was a 3-day thing.
Right.
I think their ideal is longer where they kind of can settle in.
It's an interesting lifestyle. I could see some pros to it, but yeah, definitely. So are you going to do the service again?
Probably not. This feels, I'm just coming off finding this kink card in my bathroom. I think I'm going to lean out. I might have to bite the bait and just pay a normal.
It could be an anomaly. Was she lower priced than others?
No, but we don't live in a big bustling city, and we don't live in Hawaii, and we don't live on the coast. So I think that maybe it's not the most desirable place. We have hot tub.
Right. Our brother lives in San Francisco. So, and our brother John, who uses this service.
I wouldn't have done it probably if he wasn't raving about how awesome it was.
Right. But I'm saying for I could see why maybe you'd get more, predictable people in a city like San Francisco, where people might, would want to come
visit,
and then want to visit and have, or more it's more of a tourist city.
Yeah. Nobody's dying to go to a suburb of Dallas. That's not on anyone's bucket list.
Right. So you might get a different kind of crowd. Would make more sense because then the incentive for that person is again, free place to stay in somewhere
cool
San Francisco.
City.
Right. Yeah. This
just might not work for our area.
Specific situation.
Yeah.
Well, you got a good story.
Yeah, I got a good story. And it's hard. I don't know what the alternative is. Any dog sitter that you're bringing, whether they're paid or unpaid, it's still a stranger in your home.
Right. I find the best vetting process is someone who's used someone specific before, which is obviously for a service is hard to do. Do you have those Facebook groups for parents in your area?
I can try to find someone who's, we've had a few times where we had a neighbor who had an 18-year-old daughter who would come and stay and watch the dogs. And that's ideal.
Right.
But she's now in college, so that's not really an option. So we're just, trying to find our way. But
yeah, it's not always available. And listen, not everything works out perfectly. Even, I'm giving you an update from the dog sitting situation.
Yeah, he still has diarrhea.
He still has a little diarrhea, but he's sick. I feel so bad. Here's the thing. I feel really bad because he's just been sleeping and so quiet and sleeping and not eating all day. And I'm we're going to take him to the vet later today. And he almost I don't know if he's a limp. I'm what is going on? And I'm
picked up something.
I don't know what I don't know what happened there. And I feel a little guilty because he's been such a pleasure all day. In terms of you know what I mean? Obviously I want him to get better and be back to his old self.
Right.
He's not barking. He's not biting. I had a guy come over, our realtor who sold us our house comes by to give us pies every year. He was usually jumping and barking and whatever. He was just not, I was you're so pleasant to be around, but I feel horrible, but I also feel relaxed.
Yeah. I feel that way with kids sometimes. Yeah. We always have this debate about to give Tylenol for a fever or not give Tylenol for a fever, because if the kids have a fever, what they really need is rest. And so when you allow the fever to run its course, they will lay around a pool of mush and fall asleep and rest and just like watch a show. But if you give them Tylenol, they're like up and running around and like want to go outside, and I'm trying to work and you're homesick. And I'm kind of like, you need to lay on the couch and be sick quietly.
Right.
And not have Tylenol where now you're bouncing off the walls because you feel better and you're bored.
Right. And is it better to feel better naturally without medication? Because I was thinking about that with him too, because I'm going to take him to the vet. I assume they're going to give me some sort of medication. Maybe it's like a parasite or something. But I'm like, I just gave him a round of medication last month for his other thing. And I'm like, am I overly medicating him? Should he just like
let his body
sleep it out,
right?
Let his body figure it out. Or, he has like every vaccine that ever has been offered to him. I'm like,
right.
Am I, I don't want to go all like RFK, whatever. Like I'm very pro vaccine. They're like, does he want this vaccine? Does he want, yeah. I'm like, fuck him up. Like whatever. But then there is a part of me that's like, should I let his body figure this out? Would he be better at recovering next time? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's the school of thought with like, let the fever do its job. Like it's raising your body temperature so it can help fight off the infection kind of naturally. But look, bring them in. I guess it depends on what it is. You can ask them about organic, more natural dog parenting if that's something you're interested in.
Well, it's tough because like even with a dog versus a kid, like he can't tell me how bad it is, but like he hasn't been eating. He's been like, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know how it's. I would part of me is like, let's just see if he can write it out. But I'm also like, I don't know anything about dogs, and I don't know anything about like how serious this could be. So
yeah, you're gonna have to bring him in and get yourself a nice $320 vet bill.
Well, pet insurance, recommend it.
All right, yeah, no, we don't have that.
Yeah,
all right, that's good.
That's helpful.
All right, so bring them right in, see what they say.
All right, let's get into it. If you guys have a voicemail, you can leave us a voicemail at 646-363-6294, or you can email us at oversharing@betches.com. We're going to get into your emails and voicemails today. You can subscribe. You get 2 bonus episodes a month. And if you subscribe, you get all the episodes ad-free and you can listen to them a day early, or you can join one of Dr. Naomi's therapy groups.
Yes, find us at naomibernstein.com. We will find a space for you. I want to publicly apologize to someone that reached out and we dropped the ball in getting back to you. So if you're listening, we love you. We want you. Come back. That was an oversight. I always feel badly if anyone feels unwanted or ignored. So thank you for reaching back out. I'm glad that you did. Come find us. Awesome group of right now, all women, but happy to have a man in there if you're interested. naomibernstein.com.
All right, let's get into it. I'll read our first email. Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. I love your podcast. It's helped me through some tough times. Congratulations to Jordana and Mike on their 2 babies on the way. I cried tears of joy when I listened to your journey. So sweet. I'll get to the point. I met a mutual friend through work. I had been working at my company for a few years and have made a ton of connections and friends. When an old friend told me she knew someone who was joining my company, I befriended them, the new friend, and introduced them to multiple team members. After months of hangouts around our city, hanging at my house and friends' houses, along with shopping trips and texts, this mutual friend decided to leave the company. How she left is what irks me. The only reason why I found out was through an email from our HR. I was crushed, to say the least, and feeling a little betrayed that I was left in the dark after establishing what I thought was a strong bond. After I confronted her, she said, "Sorry, I didn't want our bosses to find out." This felt like a hit to my character and how I am as a friend. I would never have said anything to my bosses because that would be a breach of confidence. A few months have passed and I haven't heard much from her, but also have not gone out of my way to hang out since I still feel hurt. Recently, she asked me and another coworker to hang out. To be honest, I don't want to pour anything more into a friendship that feels like this. My dilemma: do I say something so she realizes what she did was messed up and hurt me, or just continue to be busy since this was a newer friendship that I don't want to continue? A burned batch.
I can see why she's hurt.
Yeah.
They were in each other's homes. They were hanging out frequently, like that she didn't trust her to say, "I'm leaving." Even if she
Right.
had to say, I'm leaving, please don't say anything.
Yeah. I guess the only like the kindest reason I could give this was she didn't want to put her in a weird position.
Right. Of like hiding it.
Right. Of having to hide it or having to, if she was speaking to someone and they're planning something that she's going to be at and she knows that she's not going to be, like, I could see a different email being written in of like, my work best friend like told me she's leaving and like everyone's talking about all these plans that they're making like around her role. And I feel weird like going along with these plans as if I don't know that she's going to leave. Like I could see another email that would be written like that. Almost like if you had a friend who was telling you they were going to like divorce their husband and
Right.
then
You have to fake it.
right. And the husband's like talking about all the, family trips and family dinners and stuff coming up. Like it does put you in a weird position, but she didn't say that. So I can see, I could see feeling hurt by it by like, you didn't like where I thought we were friends. You didn't tell me about something pretty major that you were planning on doing.
Right. And this is like a big part of our friendship and like shared experience. Yeah. The other devil's advocate is that maybe she's been burnt before in some way by someone who she told something to and it ended up, someone breached her confidence. So like, who knows what her history is and what her past is. But I think I validate, I would be hurt by this if I had hung out with someone a lot of times and I'm presuming they've talked about work and things that go on. So we're talking about a lot of stuff, but then when it comes to this thing, you're hiding it. If you really don't want to be friends with her anymore, I don't know that you need to have the conversation. If you do really enjoy her and think she's a great person and want to continue the friendship, I think you can say how you feel.
Right.
And just say, I was really hurt that you didn't trust me. I don't think there's anything here that happened that feels like if you really like her outside of this and you would value the friendship outside of this, that this would be a total deal breaker without a conversation about it. Like what were you, like you said, was there more to it? Like, what were you thinking? I don't understand why you couldn't trust me with this. And maybe there's some explanation that would make her feel better.
Right. And maybe the explanation is like, I just don't know you that well. Like it yet. It is like a newer, she's been working at the company for a few years, but she doesn't say how long the other friend had worked there. Right. So she's been working there for a few years, but the other friend joined maybe more recently. She calls it a newer friendship.
Right.
So maybe the friend again, like likes her, doesn't like not trust her, but doesn't know how, doesn't have any sort of like previous experience with secrets or work stuff or like confidential stuff around her. And it just wasn't worth the risk to her, which, cause it is a risk. And she doesn't know you that well to know if maybe you're not someone who's like going out of their way to be saying something that would be hurtful to her career, to her bosses, but maybe you're the kind of person who just has trouble keeping a secret.
Right.
Which doesn't make you horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And interesting, I do think sometimes, like if she was pregnant and she didn't say anything, it's kind of this thing of like, okay, you're entitled to like not want to tell people that. That's your information to tell or not tell. Like, I don't know if you think about it in that context, like if you were pregnant, would you have told her? Like that's a thing that would affect you, would affect your job. You're going to have to go on a maternity leave. Like I get it. I do think that you're right. There is another side, which is like she has her whole own experience. She has maybe her own trust issues or whatever her reasons are why this was her information. And she didn't feel like she trusted you yet to share it. It's not like you're her best friend of, 15 years.
Right. Or just wasn't worth the risk to her to tell you when she just doesn't know for sure.
Yeah. I do think finding out from HR would have been
right.
That's like a little off-putting versus if she was like, just let her know. Like between when she actually quit and when she found out from HR, probably when the whole entire company found out, it had to be at least like a few days to a week.
That's a great point. Like I think I like had forgotten about that almost when we were discussing this. I think that not saying anything to her before she quit totally makes a lot of sense. I think not telling her in person when they had established this friendship, or not even in person, but like directly, or like, I'm going to, just say something nice about the fact that they're not going to be working together anymore. I do think that's like maybe the more hurtful part.
Yeah. Like that she had to find out when the entire rest of the company found out.
Right. And I think that's the part I would focus on if you do want to salvage the friendship and you do want to maintain something with her. Because I agree. I don't think it's like a deal breaker for like being in contact or being in a friendship with someone. But I think you could say like, I felt like we were really close. I was so sad to hear that you were leaving, and it kind of hurt my feelings to not hear it directly from you, or before you quit. I would never, just so you know, I would never have told anyone. I can understand why maybe you didn't know that, but even just after you quit, just to not say something to me directly did feel like I thought we were a little closer than that.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know this for sure, but it sounds like they never really had an actual conversation. Like she writes kind of like, she found out and then she had to like confront her about it. So there must have been a period of time where she, like, would she have ever told you? Or she just was going to like disappear into the night. So yeah, I could see this being triggering. If you like her, other than that, I don't think it's a deal breaker. I agree. Maybe you can approach it with her. Maybe, and the truth is, if you're willing to just kind of lose the friendship, then maybe that feeling was sort of mutual in this way of like, we're not as close as you or she maybe wanted to be.
Right. Sometimes there are friendships of circumstance and convenience, and that doesn't mean that they're bad.
Totally.
I think you can have plenty of friends who are like convenient for the right time. They're not like your lifelong BFFs. Like there are people I remember I used to go out a lot when I was in my 20s. There were people who were like really fun to go out with. Did we have like a super deep friendship? Not really. Are we still really close friends? Not really. But like,
right.
Doesn't mean that anyone's bad. It's just like there's sometimes for a work friend, I think especially, it's like you were in the right place at the right time, or even college. We were in the right place. We were in the right time. The friendship was of a moment. No one's a bad person, but we're just going to move on.
Totally. I agree.
All right.
Speaking of moving on.
Yes. Let's do a Betchicist.
Okay. I will read this. Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. Love the pod and how validating it is. You'd be so proud. I found the pod a few months ago and I'm going through all the episodes from when it launched. My question is somewhat philosophical and could be subjective, but I wanted to see what you both think. Is there a difference between I love you and I'm in love with you? Here is the context. I met my boyfriend 7 months ago. Things moved quickly and we became exclusive boyfriend-girlfriend 1 month in. We said, I love you and all the cute stuff early on. This is the most secure relationship I've ever been in, and we talk about marriage and future. I'm 30 years old and he's 33. Now, recently, when I tell him I'm in love with you or falling more in love with you, his response is, I love you too. At first, I didn't think anything of it, but after a while, it started to bother me. To be honest, I also wanted him to tell me that he's in love with me. We had a conversation about it, and he says he sees no difference between I love you and I'm in love with you. I disagree, LOL. I think I'm in love with you is a deeper feeling and encompasses the whole idea of falling for someone. Anyways, what do you both think? I'm so curious. Thank you for all you do. Starting to get anxiously attached, Betch.
It's funny because like on the surface, this seems stupid, but I actually don't really think it is. Like most of these arguments or dilemmas, I think there's like a little something deeper there. And she sort of already touches on it when she says, I'm starting to get anxiously attached.
Yes.
And that's the thing about the I love yous is like, what does it mean? Like it doesn't mean anything really like definitive. It's more of a signal of like, I'm deeply into the situation. Like, what does it mean to love someone or to be in love? Like that's pretty subjective.
Yeah.
I think. But like, what does it mean symbolically is more like I'm in.
Yes.
And I think I'm in love with you feels like I'm more in than I love you.
Yeah. I think there is a different quality to it. I think with this particular person, it's semantics. Like with him, I wouldn't say that he is less into you because he doesn't, maybe he's not distinguishing this, or maybe you can get him to understand. My opinion is I love you is like you love your mother, you love your dog, you love your siblings, you love your best friend. I'm in love with you, I think implies this quality of like, I just want to like soak you up. Like, I just want to be like, I want to stare at every inch of you. I want to like, like I love your every little part of like, I do
I want to
think
be
it
with you all the
implies,
time.
yeah, like a deeper something. Like, even sometimes I'll think like if I'm with one of my kids and I'm having like such a intensely like looking at their skin or like they smell so good or whatever, like I'll have this thought of like, I'm so in love with you. And obviously it's not like romantic, but it's different. It's like in a
All
moment
encompassing.
where I'm like, it's all encompassing in that moment. Or like even with your dog or something, you could be like, I am so in love with you. Like,
Right. No, I agree. I agree with that distinction, like the way it seems to her and why it's probably like irking her that he won't reciprocate that. But I also think like saying something like, I think it's easier for many people who are not like super, I don't know, what's the word with their words, like super effusive or like
right,
enthusiastic with their words to say, I love you, then I'm in love with you might even sound like a little cheesy to
right,
some people, maybe. And it doesn't mean that they're not feeling that way, but maybe that's just like a little, like it feels like intense for them
intense.
to say. And I love you maybe feels a little bit more, uh, I don't know, less like I'm making a big statement.
Right. Which is, I think, what maybe is bugging her is like, I think in love with you implies like a presence of appreciation almost of like, in this moment, I want to be so close to you. I want to like kind of, I'm just feeling like an intense closeness. Like you can love someone. Like I love you. You're
I
my
love you too.
sister. But like when I'm with you, I don't want to like nuzzle your nose. I don't want to like, like I don't feel the
Right.
need to like be as close as humanly possible to you and
Yeah.
like smell you and
You're
wrap
not looking at
myself
my
up in
baby
you.
pictures and
Right. Just,
reminiscing constantly about me. Yep.
but like, honestly, if you think about it, like maybe when I was like writing your speech for your wedding and I was like reminiscing about when you were little and like looking at baby pictures and like leaning into those moments of like remembering you when you were little, like maybe that was a little bit closer to a feeling of like, I'm in love with you. Like, look at those little
Right.
curls and that cute little nose. And like, it's a, it's a different level of like interacting and being mindful and like appreciation of the little bits of someone, I think,
Sure.
versus like, I love you as a person and I care for you a lot. Like, I do think there's so many different ways to be present in love with someone. So maybe she does want, maybe she feels like 7 months in, it moved quickly. It was probably like hot and heavy in the beginning. And there was a lot of this like intensity of like, we're boyfriend, girlfriend. I don't want to date anyone but you. And now maybe her fear is that it's leveling off or like it's getting to be a little bit more like just complacent and like we love each other when she's like, I'm falling more and more in love with you.
Right. Well, that's why to bring me back to the first point, I feel like it's a little bit symbolic. It's more about like the fact that he will or won't say it is more like, are you getting the signal from him that he's like here for the long haul, which 7
Right.
months I actually do think makes sense for that
Yep.
questioning to go on of like, is this going to be, because 7 months in a relationship is sort of like the border of, are we going to be in a serious relationship? And I think maybe like in love feels more serious. So she's trying to sort of gauge his feelings on that through his use of these words, and maybe like the real more vulnerable conversation to have, which is scarier. It's a little easier to say, like, to fight about in love versus love, and a little scarier to be like, I'm a little scared that I'm like more into this than you, or I'm a little scared that my feelings are so strong and I don't necessarily know like where you're standing.
Right. Yeah, because it could be this kind of thing where like once you do the exclusive conversation, then you have the I love you conversation. And now you're like, what's next? Like, how do we keep affirming this other than like, I still love you? But maybe she does need a little bit more verbal affirmation. I agree. I think it's a great conversation. Like, I feel like my feelings for you are growing stronger and stronger each day. And I wonder if you're kind of feel like you're reaching your max or you're leveling off, or if that feels the same way for you. And I think that's a really intimate, great conversation to have. I do think interesting with in love, like a lot of times the first thing people say is, I'm falling in love with you. Like before, like some people feel almost safer saying like, I'm falling in love with you than like, I love you, or like, I'm in love with you.
Yes, it does feel like the in love would often come before the love. Because like the longer you're in a relationship, the less you're proclaiming how in love you are, and the more it's like, love you. Yeah.
Right. Like I'm used to you. Like I'm
Right.
used to your smell. I'm used to how you look. I'm like comfortable. That there is something just very human about like a little bit of a scarcity mindset intensifying feelings. Like if I'm not sure how long this is going to last, or I'm not sure if you're going to stay, or like I feel there's a connection between feeling a little insecure and feeling a little bit more of that like
anxiety,
but also like the in loveness of like, I want to soak you up because you're here right now. And like, I don't know how long you're going to be here, which is why even sometimes with the kids, like I'll feel kind of like your cheeks are still so like chubby and young, or like you still have this like baby kind of smell. And there's a scarcity mindset around like, this isn't always going to be like this. Like I'm so like appreciative. Savor it. Yeah.
So I think that's the real conversation to have. The other thing is semantics, but just say why. I mean, you're kind of like debating it with him. Just say what you really want to say about it, which is like, I'm becoming more. I want to like see if we're on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good 7-month conversation, especially if you said I love you after 1 month.
Right.
You want to check in now like 6 months later and say like, what trajectory are you on? This is kind of the trajectory that I'm on.
Little mid-year check-in.
Yeah. And you're right. Maybe a review. Her sign off does kind of tell a little bit like she's starting to feel anxious. It's not about in love or love. It's just like a general probably feeling of we need to check in. Because I'm falling deeper and deeper. Yes. I want to make sure you are too.
And I think if she knew that they were on the exact same page, the semantics would not bother her as much as like it is now, because she's reading into it as, a fear that he's going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good luck. Let us know how that convo goes. Would love to get back into that.